They have changed the face of air travel by making flying cheaper and easier. But could Europe's fastest growing airline be flying into trouble with its low-cost practices? Tonight we reveal the safety compromises, the security failures, and the passenger misery behind Ryanair's dash for cheaper fares and higher profits. Last year, for over 5.5 months, dispatchers secretly filmed inside the Irish no-frills airline.
Everybody philosophy here.
Passengers don't matter. They
pay money, they buy a ticket, and they buy it.
Staff asleep on duty.
Oh, I thought you were going to hit your head then.
Dirty planes.
Oh, that looks really disgusting. Look, you can see like bits in it as well.
And cabin crew claiming they were told to fake references.
They can get sacked for this, and me too, I think.
Ryanair is famous for offering cheap tickets but flying with no frills. But it is controversial. Last month, the journal Flight International called for a safety audit of such low-cost methods. Meet Charlie and Mary. Two dispatches reporters about to find out what it's really like on the other side of the Ryanair check-in. Most major airlines pay for their staff to be trained. Ryanair cabin crew have to pay £1,400 each for the privilege. And they pay another £25 every month to wear its uniform. Their training course, run by St James's Management, also prepares them for the downside of life in a low-cost airline.
By the end of the day, sometimes the toilets can come a bit.
Mary has barely started her course before the instructor tells them about Ryanair's latest customer survey.
All again, through the website.
Standards of cleanliness are not great, the class is told.
And then aircraft cleanliness, cabin interior, 78%. It's not great. And toilet, 79 down to 71%, even worse.
The tutor claims the cause is Ryanair's policy of turning its flights round fast to maximise profit. No plane is supposed to be on the ground for longer than 25 minutes between flights.
Because we only do a 25-minute turnaround, the aircraft doesn't get cleaned in between flights, not like other companies that have an hour turnaround. It gets cleaned once a day in the morning, and then it's pretty much a quick pick-up in between the sectors. But it's the only way we can do the 25-minute turnaround, is to not have the aircraft cleaned in between. But the 25-minute turnaround is done for a reason. It's to keep the planes moving. If a plane is sitting on the ground, it's not making money.
The cabin crew's class is preparing them for their most important roles, the safety and security of the public.
Next to the door.
Charlie's being taught to look out for able-bodied passengers who'll be able to help in emergencies.
These able-bodied passengers are going to help you open the door, or they might have to open the door if you die on impact.
What happens next raises questions about the quality of the Ryanair training. The instructor makes an extraordinary and false claim. She tells them they should never rely on anyone sitting in seat 1A.
Now, the reason it isn't A is because we have the 200 aircraft, and the person that sits in row 1A on impact will probably die on impact. The reason being is that on the 200 aircraft, there's a piece of metal that sticks out, which you attach your handrails for the air stairs. So when we impact, their head's going to go right into the metal. So we don't ask them, but obviously don't start telling passengers, oh, don't sit there, don't sit there if I was you, you're going to die. Right?
Both Ryanair and Boeing told us there was no truth in this. Ryanair said it was a ludicrous suggestion, but the company did not explain why its cabin crew were being taught in this way. The airline said that it took the last of its Boeing 737-200 planes out of service at Christmas.
On hearing the command, you must take up your brace position and continually shout, brace, brace to the passengers. How are we going to shout, brace, brace?
Loudly.
Loud, really loud. How?
Brace! Brace!
The training covers sales, customer relations and safety and security procedures, and it lasts for 5 weeks. But our girls spend little of their time on aircraft. Mary finds everything is geared towards passing a written test.
You know, when people are asking questions like, oh, well, what should we do in this situation? She just responds by saying, well, don't worry about that. That's not in the exam. Just learn this for the exam. You need to know this off by half the exam, so just learn this. Which isn't really good in practice, because if you're just learning to do certain things and not learning the reason why you have to do certain things, then when it comes to actually being up there in the air, I mean, how well are you really going to perform?
In 2002, fire broke out in the engine of a Ryanair plane, and the passengers had to be evacuated. 2 of the cabin crew were not able to open their doors without help. Then 6 passengers were allowed to exit into the danger area. Air accident investigators said that cabin crew training should be reviewed in light of this incident. Some of the Ryanair cabin crew told our reporters they had spent little time on planes during training.
What was it like when you did your practical?
We got on the plane and we literally practised the safety demo. I had to sit in the cockpit, open the captain's window, and that is all we did. It took us about 2 hours, and we had to get off the plane and we never did it.
And these recruits, who are coming to the end of their course, are beginning to ask what they paid their £1,400 for.
Yeah, but you'd think that we'd be able to practice on planes.
Yeah, we do. It's over there. They were not. This what we said on the last course, and there was 35 of us, and then they 41 grand or whatever it was out of us.
Yeah, so 98 grand they've got out of these 70 people.
Right. So you think that they would take one of them aircrafts out of service?
For the morning, for the day, or for the morning, yeah.
Are other airlines the same, or do other airlines you can practice?
Other airlines have got simulators and stuff like that.
Ever since 9/11, the airline industry has been on high alert over security. Charlie's class is being taught security procedures. As the class starts, the instructor announces there'll be an exam at the end of this session. But he is going to make it easier for them.
There's a lot to take in. There is an exam today. Right? There is an exam. And I don't worry too much about it, because when I tell you this is important, right, make sure you take note and write it down. Don't forget when somebody gets
Just why it's important soon becomes clear when he hands out the exam papers.
They've seen no direction from the Department of Transport to tell me that this is a closed book exam. So, not having any direction, I will let you have your notes. So your name and the date will go on it, and that should be the hardest part.
So he told them before the test to write down the key points. Then he told them they could sit the test with those notes in front of them. Now he's about to make it even easier.
Cabin crew, you're under.
He helps one girl in front of the whole class with the answer to the very first question.
Safety alert, initial report. Okay there? In the UK, it's known as the Department for Transport. In Ireland, it's known as Department of Transport.
Mary sits her security exam 2 months later in September, when the UK is on high alert after the London bombings. Is the exam any tougher now?
The exam has been, it's a legal requirement that we have to do it for the Department of Transport. They did not give me direction if it was a closed book exam or an open book exam, right? So with having no direction that it's a closed book exam, oh, I see a lot of smiles. Right. What does that mean? A closed book exam means that you can't look at your notes. An open book exam means you can look at your notes.
This is Chris Yates. He's an aviation security expert. We took some of our evidence to show him.
This is not effective security training. To put somebody through an exam of this nature, but actually give them the answers to the questions that they're being asked, well, I rest my case.
Ryanair deny that the security exam is open book and say that the pass mark is set very high. The Irish Department of Transport told us that they would expect that trainee cabin crew would not have access to course material during the test. St James's management, who run the course, said that the training fully complied with Ryanair and European requirements. It's graduation day and a celebration for the dozens of new cabin crew. Our girls step forward to collect their wings. Within days, they'll start working on the planes.
Hello. Thank you. Can you sit anywhere before the last 3 rows?
The airline doesn't know they are reporters, although we've had their backgrounds checked. But then Ryanair doesn't really know the background of many of their classmates either. In part 2, our reporters film the daily security risks which affect Britain's fastest growing airline. 2 dispatches reporters are working undercover as cabin crew for Ryanair. Airlines need to be able to vouch for every person who has access to the flight deck. Cabin crew have to provide a clean police record, 5-year employment history, and a character reference. Only then can they have a full security pass. But we found that Ryanair has been letting many of its Stansted cabin crew work for long periods on temporary security passes, which require no background checks. This girl says she's been flying for months without a criminal record check.
How long have you been on temporary ID then? 3 months. So when you went to Dublin, when you're in Liverpool, Dublin, and here, you've been on temporary ID the whole time. And they've allowed you to change bases and still be on temporary ID. Have you got all your references? Yeah. So you haven't had your criminal record check back?
Some of the other cabin crew are also worried that things aren't right with their passes.
How do they know you're not criminal? That is quite strange. I could plotting something, do you know what I mean?
People using temporary passes should always be accompanied by staff with full security clearance. But this cabin steward says this is routinely ignored.
You're meant to be with your escort all the time, people just walk around without an escort and without getting the back signed.
He says he was questioned by airport security about flying on his temporary pass, but a Ryanair colleague covered up for him.
And they started saying to her, has he been flying with you today? Where's he been? And she's like, oh no, he's just been in the crew all day, he's been training. And I was like, why did you say that? And she's like, because I have to have my pass otherwise. And I was like, why did we get told this?
The Ryanair crew room at Stansted. Our reporter found blank security passes lying around here on several days. This one was picked up by Charlie.
Anyone, you can get into the crew room, could take them and fill them out if they wanted to. If you were up to no good and you wanted to, you could take one of these passes, you could put them in the hands of the wrong people. Quite easily, because they're just sat there open on a desk.
This girl reveals an even greater security breach. She's having problems getting clearance because she has gaps in her education and employment history.
Hello. No haircut.
But she says a company supervisor has suggested she gets a colleague to write a fake reference for her.
2 weeks ago I said I'm going home, so when I go home I can ask my friend to do it. She said no, it's too late to find somebody in the crew room. Yeah, she asked me, and apparently I'm not the only one. So there's people who, they're just getting people to sign people's references who have only known them a matter of 2 months. Yeah. I know it's not the way it should be, but they can get slapped for this, and me too, I think. But she knows me for 2 years, like she was coming to Sicily on holiday, and we met there. But I know, and I wrote one for her as well. I wrote one reference from, like, we swapped. Oh, so you did it for her as well? Yeah. So, well, I trust her. She's a nice girl. I think she's trusting me as well to do it. But,
by asking somebody in the crew room to fake a reference for you, you're making a mockery of the entire process of those fundamental checks, really, because the taking up of a reference for employment is a basic background check, and if it's not being done, then can you be really sure that the person who you're just about to employ is fit to serve in your company?
So how many people do you think are actually on temporary IDs?
Lots.
Do you reckon? I wonder what the percentage is.
I don't know, but lots. Because always at the VP9, I'm not the only one. There are always people waiting. And every time I fly, there is at least one other crew member with this ID.
On your flight?
Every day, yeah.
So there's 2 out of 4 crew on your flights every day that have got temporary?
Yes.
And if you get caught on your own without someone,
Ryanair say that all staff do receive full background checks within 60 days of starting work, which is the maximum period allowed by the law. Stansted Airport told us.
Temporary pass holders entering the restricted zone are subject to additional security checks, including a requirement that they are accompanied by a permanent pass holder.
Our reporters found that Ryanair couldn't always vouch for its passengers either. The international travel rules are clear. No one should get onto a flight without showing a valid passport at the gate. Our reporters saw Ryanair breaking this rule when crews were under pressure to turn flights around fast. A month after she started, Charlie is told she must take on the responsibility for the boarding gate. She asked her superior for advice.
We're full all day, so when I let you know, you go in and you board, and you board straight away. There's no waiting, you board. You have 25 minutes to do it. You're checking that they've got the right flight number on the boarding card. The gate staff will tell you to check the passports, right? But you just make sure you've got a passport, okay? It shouldn't take you all day to do. You just rip the boarding cards, okay? And you let them through.
Mary is expected to carry out the important boarding gate checks on her second day in the air. A few days later, Mary lands at Gothenburg Airport in Sweden and heads to the boarding gate.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Ryanair are pleased to announce the departure of flight FR967 to London Stansted.
She finds that the ground staff at the airport are letting people through without checking their identities.
Do you not check the passports? No. Okay.
There are rules on ensuring that the person who's getting on a plane is the person who should be getting on that plane. In other words, that the name in the passport matches the name on the boarding card, and the picture in the passport matches the person standing in front of the gate staff.
So do you not have tickets, proper boarding cards here?
Yeah, we only have these.
You only have these? And you don't check people's passports when they come through here? So anyone could get through here, couldn't they?
They have to show this when they go to the security control. So if they don't have it, they can't come in.
Yes, but someone out there could hand that to someone else, couldn't they?
Yeah.
Pardon? Yeah, it is a bad system.
If you have an unknown individual getting on board an aeroplane, then the safety of that flight is compromised quite clearly. The purpose of the passport check is to ensure that only those who are authorised to fly get on board planes.
Can I see your passport, please?
When Mary does do it properly, her superior tells her off for taking too long.
Thank you very much.
Can everyone open their passports on the photo page, please? Thanks. It will actually help if you all got your passports out on photo pages and then... So I was obviously doing my job properly, which is, taking the ticket, looking at the name of the person on the ticket, checking that the picture on the card matches the person who's standing in front of me, and doing that with every single person, which is what I'm supposed to do.
Okay. Excuse me, I need to see your passport. You can't just walk through.
I made us late, and the number one told me off. When I got on to the aircraft, he was like, you know, the captain's been asking why we're going to be late, and he goes, now he's probably going to write a report, and he'll say it's due to boarding, so you're going to get into trouble. Yeah, I'm just doing my job properly, and surely it's more important that you spend the extra few minutes and make sure that everyone's got the right ID, and you're not putting the other passengers at risk or the aircraft at risk, because safety is supposed to be the number one thing.
Ryanair say all boarding staff are instructed to check passports on every international flight. Now that our girls are in the air, they have strict instructions not to compromise safety by using their cameras during takeoff and landing and at other sensitive times. They find that Ryanair's demand that planes should be in and out in 25 minutes puts great pressure on staff. Our reporters are growing concerned that safety and security checks are apparently skimped to keep to Ryanair's tight deadlines.
Passengers are here. She just said. Yeah. And all this as well. Oh look, the passengers are coming.
Stop it, excuse me. Go down. No, sir, stop, go down. Way down, please, way down, run. Oh, what is this?
And because it's a crew's job to tidy an entire plane, they are often left still holding the rubbish while greeting the next lot of passengers. There's a more serious side to this. The rush means they haven't even started the required security checks.
Oh, hang on, passengers are here.
Just 1 second, please.
Baby, just hold on 1 second, we'll just do the rubbish.
I wanted to have to...
First thing that I noticed was that you don't really get time to do anything whatsoever. As soon as we got on the aircraft, I mentioned about whether I should go and check the life jackets, but the other crew members were like, no, don't bother, you don't have time.
Should I check the life jackets?
What do you mean? Under the seats? If you really want to.
Basically, all you have time for is to cross over the seat belts in the seats, check that the hat bins are empty, check that there's no rubbish, and that's it.
You don't get time to check everything properly, do you? Well, you don't get time to check everything properly or then under the seat.
A European security inspection reported in the press last year disclosed breaches in the Ryanair security. The report said that a suspect package was planted on board a plane in Dublin to test cabin crew, and they missed it. Our reporters are noticing that basic checks are skipped, even when the crew does have time. This steward hasn't done all her checks and doesn't seem to care.
Do you check the life jackets on each turnaround? Does anyone check them?
You could say, if you pay only 1/10 for ticket, don't expect that you have life jacket underneath your seat.
Obviously, if some of the rules are being bent here to fit the time pressures of a turnaround for one of these aircraft at any given airport anywhere, then perhaps the airline should be reassessing the amount of time that it does turn one of its planes around to make sure that all of the standards, all of the rules are followed.
It's a familiar story to this former Ryanair cabin crew member.
About the turnarounds, you should make a security check. I don't know, once in a while you can do it, because in those 25 minutes that then they become 20 or 15 or they become less than what you need. Already 25 minutes are not enough.
And there's still more rubbish I haven't been able to collect because I haven't had anywhere to put it.
It's always maybe the worst moment of the day. In 25 minutes you have to do disembark passengers, clean all the cabin, make sure that everything is okay.
It's really starting to smell in the toilets as well. Oh.
Charlie finds something far more concerning than a dirty plane. The slide on this emergency door appears to be showing a fault. The slide would not inflate, and passengers would have to find an alternative escape route.
Have you ever seen it like that before? Huh? Have you ever seen it like that before?
I know.
It definitely looks like it's in the red bit to me.
Yeah, it's that's why I understand.
He wasn't worried about it.
It's always better to make sure.
Yeah. No, you did the right thing. Really, the captain should have a look at it, shouldn't they? Maybe they will. One of the pre-departure inspections is that there's an arrow in the green part of the band of the gauge, and it wasn't. And the number 3 did report it to the number 1, but I don't think the number 1 did. He said he was going to tell the captain. I don't know if he did or not, but no one else came to check it after that, and we just flew off. So.
You don't know whether one of these aircraft is going to be involved in an emergency. Let's say that aircraft had run down a runway, blew a tyre, the undercarriage caught fire, and you had to evacuate it on the runway in a hurry, and you open the doors and the slide doesn't inflate because it's under pressured. That's a safety violation.
Ryanair say they have no record of a fault with the slide on this day, and they are satisfied there was no problem with the plane.
I'll take that. Rubbish.
A child has been sick on this plane. Mary reports it to her supervisor.
What's the story of the
Well, she left a bag there.
And it leaked?
And it's leaked.
That's not fair.
I know.
The 25-minute turnaround means there is no time to clean it up. Instead, he says, he'll try to disguise the smell.
But somebody left a little, like, tester or aftershave you can actually smell.
I know, it smells nice.
Does it? I don't really like it.
Why, are you going to put that on there?
Aye.
Want to disguise the smell of sick?
It's better than smelling it, man. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, that looks really disgusting. But look, you can see like bits in it as well.
As long as it doesn't smell.
Should we maybe just like block off that row? I mean, how many have we got?
There's no way I would sit on a seat in a flight, no matter how much I paid for my flight, when it absolutely stank of sick and there's a big puddle of sick right by the, on the floor, and you can see it. And then when the next passengers did actually come on, there were some children that are in that row and they're all holding their noses going, oh, it smells of sick. And the number 1 was laughing, not the number 1, the number 3 was at the back saying to me, oh my God, look, sort of laughing about it. And I just thought, that's disgusting.
Ryanair say they have no record of any vomit on the plane. Ryanair's determined drive for success has sometimes landed it in trouble with regulators and even the courts. They have been criticised for charging a user wheelchair, ejecting 9 blind passengers from a plane, and when the millionth passenger tried to claim her prize of free flights, they said they would see her in court. Another court last year fined Ryanair £24,000 for misleading customers about the cost of some of its flights. Simon Evans heads up a consumer watchdog. Part of his job is to keep airlines like Ryanair in line.
They're forever pushing the boundaries, and even if what they're doing isn't illegal, it might be on the cusp of, and they need to be brought back all the time. So it's a bit of a challenge for us, for regulators.
The airline's response to many complaints is that its fares are cheap. But how many people really get them? Andrew Lobenberg works for an international bank analysing airline performances. He studied Ryanair's business model and marketing strategies.
In terms of the free seats that Ryanair go on about, their free seat sales, the indications we've been given by the company is that something like 25% of passengers travel on these free seats. However, it's important to remember that when you buy, if that's the right word, a free seat, you do have to pay a credit card booking fee, you have to pay the airport charge, you have to pay the wheelchair and insurance charge, and most likely you'll be coming back as well, and you very well may not be able to get a free seat coming back.
Ryanair predict a profit of £200 million for last year. And this year it says that 40 million passengers will choose to fly on its planes. Its success relies upon getting the most out of its planes and its staff. But our evidence suggests that the staff are sometimes being pushed to the limit. In part 3, the cabin stewards who are asleep on the job, and the pilot who says he'll lose his job if he gives free soft drinks to passengers stuck on the ground for 3 hours. Our undercover reporters are hearing complaints from Ryanair staff about hours and pay on a daily basis. The cabin crew work 10-hour shifts, sometimes 5 or 6 days on the trot, and it is hard physical work under pressure and at altitude. Our reporters only earn when they are in the air. They get paid £14 per short flight and £19 for a long one. So on a flight to Dublin and back, they earn £28. At the end of another grueling day, Charlie is feeling the effects and records a video diary.
I really don't know why anyone would want to do this job. For the last 3 mornings I've had to be up at least 4 o'clock in the morning, and I haven't got home until like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the evening. I'm completely shattered. All I do is work and sleep, not a lot of sleep, mainly work, and it's just horrible. It's so tiring and so destroying. It's just not right. And you know, on the plane, it's like how can you be, you know, that efficient when you're so tired?
Will I be able to put your bag in the overhead locker as well?
I don't feel like me at all, just I don't feel myself. I just feel kind of a bit dazed and delirious, really.
Whereas pilots' hours are strictly regulated, cabin crew seem to be largely at the mercy of their employers. One cabin crew member says his hours for the month are mounting up, and he's worried about his ability to do the job.
Right now I have 131 hours, and I have 3 standby on it. It's gonna be like almost 160 again. What are you doing with me? Don't kill me.
His concerns are justified, because on the next flight he falls asleep. On another flight, the senior steward in overall charge of passenger safety is asleep.
These clips you've shown me of people who are actually asleep, I say that's very alarming, because they're not catnapping, they've actually gone to sleep because they're fatigued. And that is dangerous.
Oh, I thought you were going to hit your head then.
I'm not any wrong, it sort of breaches just about every aviation flying company procedure there is. But you have the evidence these people are asleep. You need your aircrew, you need all of your crew to be alert in case of a problem. And I say if they're fatigued enough to be asleep, then they're not going to be alert, and they're not going to be able to handle a crisis, an accident, an incident. Cabin crew are not there just to serve tea and coffee. They are there for, in case there's an emergency.
During a rare, quiet moment, Mary seizes the opportunity to chat to a co-pilot about his working conditions.
When are we, so how many hours on, do you do a month?
Me? 99.9.
And is that like the right amount?
Maximum's 100. So they take us right up to the limit.
Oh, do
they simply don't have enough pilots at Ryanair.
Really?
Yeah. They're selling all these tickets, all these airplanes, all these routes, but not enough pilots to fly the airplanes. So as a consequence, we're all doing as much as we can. We're only supposed to do about 70 a month because we're limited by 100 hours over 28 days and 900 hours in a year.
Oh, right,
so if you do 100 hours in a month, you can only do 9 months. And then you get... So at the moment, I've got February and March and quite a lot of January off, just cannot work. If I carry on flying at the rate at which I'm flying at the moment...
Does anyone ever come in, even though they're not available?
Well, the company can be quite... the company can be quite naughty that they'll take you up to 897 hours, so there's 3 left, which means in an absolute dire emergency they can use you.
The cabin crew must do loads and loads of hours because there's loads of days when they're doing 10, 11 hours a day.
Yeah, and because you're doing airport standbys and stuff as well, you're actually coming into work more often than we do. It's criminal what you guys have to do.
A common criticism of Ryanair is its failure to assist passengers when things go wrong. Some passengers have found themselves abandoned at far-flung airports with no way of getting home. Simon Evans is familiar with such complaints about low-cost airlines.
Another area where the model impacts on passengers, when things go wrong particularly, is another way of keeping the costs down and being able to deliver low fares to some of their passengers, is to fly to remote airports or airports that are not the main airport serving a main city. They do that because the costs are lower. But one of the problems with those airports is that there can be no backup at all when things go wrong.
It's approaching midnight, and we're in Spain. The captain has found a dent in the body of the aircraft that needs checking before he can fly. Unfortunately for the passengers, they are already taking their seats. We are about to find out what really goes on behind the scenes in a delay at Ryanair.
Because there's like little babies out there.
Yes, there are.
That are, screaming, they need feeding and stuff. Do you know what I mean? The mum's only got enough food for a couple of hours and...
Can we do a service?
People are asking for drinks and stuff. They would.
They want something free out of Ryanair, but hey, dream on.
Yeah. Unless you want to pay for the money you own pocket.
To midnight.
Yeah.
These passengers have been on this aircraft, 2.5 hours? You can't expect them to then fly home.
You paid nothing for your ticket, so you get nothing.
Yeah.
That's the company policy. You pay nothing.
Return ticket.
We take you there. But you paid nothing, so we don't take you there. So only lost €5.
Others will have paid rather more for their flight than the advertised fare and may think they're entitled to a different level of service. But setting aside the moral and common decency arguments, there's actually a regulation in place now which requires airlines to behave differently in these circumstances.
The crew are feeling tired. The senior steward says he's exhausted. There is a discussion about whether they should postpone the flight until the morning, but the captain says it's more than his job's worth.
So, do you think that if you said, right, I don't want to fly this aircraft, my crew are tired, we're tired, the flight deck is tired, then you'd get in trouble for doing that?
Yeah. Probably fired, definitely demoted.
Probably fired? Even though you're the captain?
Almost probably fired.
Do you not have any rights? So I thought you were like head honcho.
No,
yes, that's the theory.
No, they'll fire you. They did it to the guy on Saturday in Dublin.
Saturday just gone?
Yeah.
They demoted him. He refused to do 2 extra sectors. He said he was too tired. And they demoted him on the spot.
What, from a captain to a first?
That's
terrible. Does that mean a deduction in pay?
Yeah. Just a lot.
Yeah?
Terrible.
That's
business safety as well. You would have thought safety.
And this guy has been in the company 10 years.
Serious? But could you not say... Because was he out of hours, or was he just being like...
No, it would have been legal, but what he was saying is, I don't feel able.
And they demoted him.
The pilot in question appealed against the demotion, but was told it would stand. Ryanair says it does not accept that it was a bona fide claim of fatigue. And now a number of pilots have written to the Irish Aviation Authority expressing concern over their power to make important decisions. Meanwhile, our captain has now learned that he can't fly to Stansted and will have to divert. But he has no intention of telling the passengers for now.
So we're going back about 2 in the morning?
Yeah, at Luton.
At Luton?
Yes, Stansted is shut.
What?
Stansted shuts at midnight.
So how are you going to get us back to Stansted?
Taxi.
What, all of us?
It'll be cosy. But we've had a practice now.
You haven't told any of the phone.
I'm not bothered about that.
Would passengers be able to get any compensation because they'd say that they've been delayed and this is out of their control?
Again, Ryanair.
That's the point of Ryanair. Even in that 5 weeks, you never picked up on Ryanair. Take everything if they would only delay a flight due to a technical reason on safety grounds, and if a delay is for safety, they don't pay compensation. So
a little clause.
Well, they're out of it.
And let's face it, if you want to get money out of them, you're going to have to sue them, which is going to cost you a fortune. Yeah.
The passengers have been sending complaints forward to the captain, and now an angry spokesman comes to the cockpit to argue their case.
We've been here 3 hours.
I appreciate that.
What I'm asking you to do is to forget about the Ryanair rulebook and offer people some non-alcoholic drink and food free of charge now.
They can have water from the galley if that's available, the none one to that. But we cannot open bars. It's not within
I'm not talking about alcoholic drink.
No,
I'm talking about juice. I'm talking about Coke.
Yeah, but they're locked in the bars. The bars are sealed. We do not. It's not my decision. It's not Ryanair's decision. We cannot open the bars on the ground.
I have been on planes that have been delayed before that have offered drinks on the ground because we have been delayed over a certain period of time.
I appreciate that, but I cannot do that. That's it.
Whose rule is that?
Well, it's because of the way Ryanair load their bars.
You load your bars with alcoholic and non-alcoholic.
Yes, yeah,
you can't change that.
No, they're loaded. That's not my decision. That's the way the company operates.
Whose authority do you need to change that?
Well, I suppose it comes from customs and excise. All I'm saying is I cannot do it. If I do that, I won't have a job tomorrow, and I'm not going to do it. And that's what it comes down to.
And that is a lack of judgment. That you as a captain...
You try telling that to my wife and children. I can only do what I can do. I've done my best to explain. I've passed on the information as soon as I've got it, and I can't do any more than that. I can only do my best, and you're getting that.
It's difficult to know where that sort of cultural ethos comes down, except, let's face it, we are talking about Ryanair, and the bottom line in so many of their public pronouncements is effectively, you don't get what you haven't paid for. You've paid next to nothing, so don't expect a decent level of service, to paraphrase. And that does seem to be coming through what we're seeing, certainly from some of the remarks from the cockpit.
How long would you keep us here without a drink?
If you wish to offload yourself, then that's up to you.
No. Would you answer the question?
I'm going to. I'm just saying, if you wish to offload yourself, you can. But all I can do is pass on the information, and until I get the release to take this aeroplane, then we sit here. Now,
you will keep us here for 3, 4, 5 hours without offering anybody a drink.
But that's all I can do.
I'm afraid you shouldn't be captain of this aircraft.
Finally, they take off. Happily, Stansted is able to open a runway. Ryanair say that the pilot didn't serve drinks because of customs rules and because he had to be ready to depart quickly. Our reporter spent 5.5 months inside Ryanair. They found questionable training methods.
So your name, the date that will go on it, and that should be the hardest part.
They found compromises in the vetting of staff to work in security-sensitive areas.
They can get sacked for this, and me too, I think.
They found that shortcuts were being taken with passport regulations.
The gate staff will tell you to check the passports, right? But you just make sure you've got a passport.
And time pressure on cabin crew interfering with safety checks.
Should I check the life jacket?
What do you mean? Under the seats? If you really want to.
and ignoring basic cleanliness.
Oh, that looks really disgusting. Look, you can see like bits in it as well.
Ryanair gave us a statement in response to the programme.
Ryanair is Europe's largest international airline and operates to the highest European safety standards with an unblemished 20-year safety record. Ryanair's operations are regularly audited and checked by the independent aviation regulatory authorities of Ireland, the UK and each of the European countries to which we fly. Over the last 10 years, Ryanair has grown from 4 to over 40 million passengers annually by delivering safe, reliable and affordable air travel. This record growth would not have been achieved without the excellent customer service which is consistently provided by the 3,500 professional men and women of Ryanair. We have provided detailed written responses to show there is no substance to these allegations. Ryanair pilot and cabin crew rosters minimise the possibility of fatigue. No pilot flies more than 900 hours per annum, which averages just 18 hours a week. Our cabin crew rosters also disprove this programme's claims. Should the programme, which Dispatches has not shown to Ryanair, identify any isolated breaches of Ryanair's own policies or procedures, then these will be thoroughly investigated in conjunction with both the IAA and CAA.
Unfortunately, Ryanair's policy has not filtered down to all of its staff.
You're not getting the whole Ryanair concept, are you?
No,
You've missed it somewhere.
Company philosophy here.
Passengers don't matter. They'll come
They
anyway.
pay money, they buy a ticket, and then Ryanair doesn't care.
That's it, yeah.
And if you piss them
As soon
off,
as they've got their money.
there's
that's it.
plenty more that will take their place.
And if you want to find out more, just log on to channel4.com/dispatches and take part in our poll. Next on 4, Body Shock meets the most extraordinary family you'll ever see. The 80-year-old children in a few minutes.